Dear students, reported speech and direct indirect speech. This is one and the same thing. There is no difference in both. Now, I have mentioned here one sentence written on the board. Ajay said to Mr. Gupta, I am doing research in Ayurveda. Now, before we convert this into indirect speech, first let us have a clarity in your mind what is direct speech and what is indirect speech. When the words of the speaker are written as it is without any changes into double inverted comma, that is called direct speech. Now here I am doing research in Ayurveda. Here the speaker is Ajay. Whatever Ajay said, it has been written here into double inverted quotation without making any changes. These are the exact words uttered by the speaker Ajay into double inverted comma without any change, and that is why this is direct speech. Now we will learn how to convert it into indirect speech. Now always remember that in indirect speech, every time the rules change according to the type of sentence uttered by the speaker in direct speech. Now today we are going to learn how to convert statements from direct to indirect speech. Now statements or declarative sentence, or even you can say the assertive sentence, this is one and the same. Now I am doing research in Ayurveda. When you read this sentence, we learn that some information is given, something is declared, something is stated, and that is why this is statement. I am doing research in Ayurveda. So let us learn today how to transform the statements from direct to indirect speech. Now, Ajay told Mr. Gupta that he was doing research in Ayurveda. Now if you notice here, when I mentioned the example of direct speech, I use double inverted quotation. But remember that in indirect speech, we don't use any punctuation mark except full stop. There is only full stop in indirect speech. In indirect speech, we don't use double inverted commas. Now, Ajay said to Mr. Gupta, I am doing research in Ayurveda. The indirect speech of this is Ajay told Mr. Gupta that he was doing research in Ayurveda. Now what is the difference between direct speech and indirect speech? As I said, in direct speech we quote the exact words of the speaker without making any changes. But in indirect speech we report whatever the speaker said, and that is why it becomes a reported speech. Now what is the meaning of we report? We report means we convey the message. Now in indirect speech, it is not at all necessary that we write all the words exactly said by the speaker, but we convey the message in a proper way, explicit manner, and that is why that is called indirect speech. Now you must remember one thing, that whenever you convert from direct to indirect speech, in indirect speech, you should correctly convey the message without changing meaning and without changing tense. Now we are going to see which are the relative changes that take place from direct to indirect speech. Now when you use the verb say, normally it is followed by to, but when you use tell or told, after that there is no need of to. Now in direct speech it is written I am doing. Now I am doing became he was doing. Now why this change has taken place? Now we should understand that when the reporting verb, now said is a reporting verb. When the reporting verb is in V2, that is in second form, then the present tense in direct speech changes to relative past tense. Now this said indicates that this statement was uttered by Ajay in the past period and not in the present time, and that is why we converted this present continuous tense into past continuous tense. In technical words, we call it back shifting the tense. We shifted the tense from present tense to past tense. Now why did we shift this? Why this shift is essential? Because this sentence was uttered by the speaker not in the present time but in the past time, and this V2, second form of the reporting verb, clearly indicates that this sentence was uttered in the past. That is why the present tense in direct speech goes to the relative past tense. Now what is the meaning of relative past tense? In direct speech, suppose if it is the simple present tense, then in indirect speech it becomes simple past tense. If it is present continuous, it becomes past continuous. If it is present perfect, it becomes past perfect. And if it is present perfect continuous tense, it becomes past perfect continuous tense. This is called the relative shifting from present tense to past tense. But remember, what is the condition for that? When the reporting verb is in the second form, then the present tense in direct speech is changed to relative past tense. Now second very important thing, in direct speech, the sentence starts with I am doing. Now I is which part of speech? This is pronoun. Now we change this pronoun from I to he. Now what is the need of this? Because when we convert from I to he refers to Ajay. Because Ajay is the speaker in this sentence and he means Ajay. Since the speaker is a boy or man, it is he. Suppose instead of Ajay, if the speaker were Anita, then it could have become she. So from I it changed to he because it refers to the speaker. Suppose if I continue with I, then there might be some confusion in the mind of listener whether who is doing research, the person who is reporting is doing the research or the actual speaker was doing research. And for this clarity, it is necessary to change this pronoun I to he since the speaker is Ajay. And that is why, dear students, the indirect speech of this, I am doing research in Ayurveda, has become Ajay told Mr. Gupta that he was doing research in Ayurveda. Now it is not necessary that you should only use said or told. According to the type of sentence, according to the meaning and mood of sentence, even we can change the reporting verb. Instead of told, even you can also use informed. Because the information is given by Ajay to Mr. Gupta. That is why even you can say Ajay informed Mr. Gupta that he was doing research in Ayurveda. Let us remember once again that when you write the exact words of the speaker into double inverted quotation without making any changes, that is direct speech. But whatever speaker said, when it is reported, when it is conveyed, when the message is conveyed by the third person, then it becomes reported speech, and reported speech means indirect speech. And I said that when the reporting verb is in second form, then the present tense in the direct speech changes to relative past tense. Now dear students, let us have a glance at the second example. Anil said to the boy, I will teach you how to write sentences. This is direct speech because these are the words exactly uttered by the speaker Anil. We did not make any change in that and we quoted that into double inverted comma. That is why this is direct speech. Now what is the indirect transformation of this sentence? Anil told the boy that. Now one very important thing you should remember, dear students, whenever you are changing the statements from direct to indirect speech, then after reporting part, who said to whom, we are supposed to use the conjunction that. Because this conjunction is used in indirect speech whenever we report the statements, whenever we report the assertive sentences or declarative sentences. So even in the previous sentence also we used that. Ajay told Mr. Gupta that he was doing research in Ayurveda. Similarly, Anil told the boy that he would teach. Now, the pronoun I changed to he. He refers to here Anil, since Anil is the speaker. Now, will change to would. Now, two things. I said that whenever the reporting verb is in V2, then the present tense of direct speech is changed into relative past tense. Now here the modal auxiliary will is used, and that is why this is simple future tense. So in direct speech, if the simple future tense is there, then will is converted into would. Now you may have doubt in your mind that why the teach has not been converted to taught. Because teach is V1 and taught is V2. We have a basic rule that whenever you write modal auxiliary, after that we must use V1, and when you have already converted will into would, there is no need to convert teach into taught here, and technically and grammatically also it will be wrong. That is why Anil told the boy that he would teach him. Now here him means him refers to the boy. Suppose if Anil, instead of boy, the person was girl. Suppose instead of boy, if the speaker was girl, then it would have become her. How to write sentences? Now again, one important point. You may have doubt why this write is not converted into wrote, because he would teach him how to write. Now this how to write, it works as object. It doesn't work as verb here. And another important rule, that whenever we write to, after to we cannot convert the verb into V2, we must write in V1.